Alright, I'm in Bear Creek Educational Center and I have two very dirty dogs whose white furs turned black. But anyway, I'm coming to you because in the near future you may be in places like this where you have a trail going one way and a trail going the other way. If you didn't know where you were going and which way was north, how would you figure out where to go and what to do? Because in the near future, your phone may not work. So we'll rely on your senses a lot more. However, I would highly advise in this last little bit of time we have to get this. This is a compass. The red or the magnetic part always points towards north. Sorry, I'm dealing with two dogs that are not cooperating. But the red always points to north. And depending on where you want to go and what you want to do, it's very helpful to have a compass. However, if you didn't have a compass and you had an option of one way or another way, or actually, you have a third option of just going through the woods, but that would be a lot harder. If you're going to bushwhack through the woods, I would try to find an animal trail. Animal trails are places where animals have gone, and they can lead you through the woods. Animals traverse these woods all the time, like coyotes and deer and bear and everything else go through these woods. Another thing you can rely on is the sun, which is somewhere back there. But the sun, for now, unless God changes it, which potentially could happen, the sun always comes up in the east and goes to the west. And we rotate around on it. And so that always happens. But the question becomes, do you want to be found in this time? You may be out in the woods trying to locate resources and locating water and maybe plants to live on, or ways of finding critters and that type of thing. But if you ever get lost, how do you find your way out? Hopefully, what they did in the olden times is they just wandered around and found different resources and eventually found their way out. Aldo Leopold and Muir, I can't remember exactly the wording, but it was basically like, I wasn't lost. I was just wandering around for 2 or 3 days, which is kind of funny. But they didn't see this place as a trap or a bad place to be. This was a place where they could get away, where they could see God's creation and just live and be. But we have times in our life when we have to choose the right trail, and sometimes trails can look a lot like that, where we don't see a trail, and that may not be the best of idea or best of things, or best of examples, because the trails of life could look like an animal place where animals have traversed. But we have a choice to make. Either we follow God and the very, very, very narrow path with His commandments and His ways and His rules, or we can choose the very wide path of sports and entertainment and being distracted and doing what everyone else does. If you look like the rest of the world, you're not a true Christian. Or you're not a true, I shouldn't say Christian, I should say a true follower of God. If you can look at someone else and not find a difference between you and them, you have a problem. God clearly says in His Word all over the place that We are not to live as the world does. We are not to look like the world does. We are to clothe ourselves differently. We are to eat differently. We're acting differently. You don't show wrath or seek revenge. The revenge, basically, it says that it's God's, not ours. But when you're in the woods and trying to find things, you can listen. Right now, I hear transportation. So if I was truly lost, and I knew there was a road somewhere over there, because I can hear cars going, I'd go towards the road and try to go that way. I also know, because of looking at maps and stuff, that there is Big Lake Talquin that is to the, to the east of me, and it's a pretty significant lake. So I could potentially go that way and be seen by a boat or go around on it. But I know that Lake Talquin a lot of it only has lots of woods and it's pretty protected. It's Lake Talquin Florida State Forest. So that's, if you want to get found, that's not the place to go. But I also know that there are roads around Lake Talquin, so you can find these roads. So when you're in the woods and don't have a sun, you could also find the Big Dipper. It just looks like a ladle kind of thing has 4 stars and then it has this ladle-looking thing going off the back of it, and it's this part of it. You have that part and then this part and like the top and bottom, but it's that part that basically the Big Dipper aims towards the North Star. So you can always find your way that way. The moss thing doesn't really add up. Supposedly moss grows better on the north side because it has more moisture and that type of thing, and more shade, and so that is a possibility. But in this time, we've got to find the true path of God. We got to not listen to the world around us and to the things around us, because they can mislead us. And also, this guy, he's having fun, but he has a pretty good nose on him. And if I needed to find my way out, I could with him. But I would also, in this time, I have a bag full of all kinds of stuff. I have a fire striker, and I have a compass, and I have some essentials in there. I don't have a first aid kit or anything like that yet. I do have it in my car, but not. Yeah. So I would advise getting a Bible if you don't already have one. Getting familiar with the area around you and getting comfortable with being in the woods. Yes, there are ticks. Yes, there are bugs. Yes, there are all kinds of different things in here that potentially can hurt you. As long as you take ticks off within a reasonable amount of time, you're good. I haven't really had any trouble with ticks. The ones that bite you, yeah, they can irritate you for a few days. If you have vinegar or anti-itch cream, I would advise to use that. Just enjoy yourself and get out to places like this. It's nice to just sit and listen and hear what's around you. But I would advise definitely getting comfortable with the woods like this, or finding someone who is, because there may be a day in the near future where this world riots and starts getting crazy. I would highly advise to stay out of that mess. It's not worth going to jail over whatever. I know you have to protect your family and that type of thing. Don't do that. Just stay safe. But yeah, I mean, the woods are not, there's nothing to be afraid of the woods. Yes, there are snakes here, but I don't really see them a whole lot. They are here, but it's just not something I come across all the time. I come across more bugs than I do snakes. Just be cognizant of the world around you. I have actually in this place, I have gotten, one of my dogs got bit on the muzzle by a pygmy rattler. It was about that, he was about that size and got bit on the muzzle because he was curious and put his nose down and the snake bit him in the muzzle. He lived. But what other things about the woods? But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of resources here in the woods from plants. Having a good plant guide would definitely suit you well during this time. You'll want to get, sorry, I'm getting ticks on my legs and stuff. But you'll want to get some kind of guide and way of using the world around you. Because all these trees were put here by God to help us out. And I don't know if you've ever heard, but look up Pharmakia. It's kind of a messed up way of dealing with things around you. Pharmakia is basically, I've heard bad things about Pharmakia and that we should rely on God and His way and His things and not rely on modern day science. Because a lot of stuff that we eat, which is okayed by FDA, you realize that FDA and these other groups are all in on it. They're in on making money. You realize that these drug companies don't have any liability. Like the Pfizer and all these other things, they've passed on the liability and they say, okay, well, if you take this and the government has allowed it, there isn't any liability at all with drugs that are made out there. Well, some of them do, but a lot of them don't, especially this new vaccine does not have any liability. So if you get into trouble with a vaccine, you can't sue them. Just FYI. But yeah, getting out in the woods like this is always nice, and finding your way is always interesting. I mean, if you're looking for a water source, what you do is you find a lake or whatever, and you can trace it up to the top end of a stream, and you can potentially find better water. The reason why we don't drink water is because there's Giardia and other things that are in it that can make you not well. And it's always not fun to trying to survive and also having Giardia or something else attacking you. And it's basically just internal, like bacteria and other things that get into you and cause you all kinds of not fun circumstances. But yeah, anything else? But just, yeah, follow God, and just get comfortable with the world around you, and I would get very highly aware of the places that are around you and that you could use. Like if you need water, there's a lot of lakes that you can go to, and it's just a matter of boiling the water. You could potentially put the water in the heat of the day, and it would cook anything inside of it. However, if that's your only option, you can also put plastic bags on the leaves or on the branches of these trees, and you'll get water that way. There's another thing called a solar still. If you have ways of catching water, that would be another good way of water. But just get familiar with the world around you, because very soon, and it's looking like every day we're closer and closer, this may become your grocery store instead of the grocery store around you. and learn how to hide food, and how to basically preserve it, because that'll come in handy as well. Get out there and garden also. I would highly recommend that you garden and plant stuff that you can eat. It's not, you plant it and it's up the next day, so you have to give it a little time. But just follow God and let Him guide you and lead you, which I'm learning how to do more and more, because I don't have any other option at this point. It's like our modern day culture has gone crazy. So just take care, God bless, and yeah, learn the woods while you can. It's not a scary place. There aren't critters that are going to just bite you. The most scary time is probably nocturnal, when you really can't see very far. However, God does provide stars and moonlight to help you out with that situation. But bears and other things aren't really out to get you. What I would advise if you're out at night is to if you have a piece of rope, is to throw it way up in a tree and haul your bag up into the top end of a tree. And make sure that you have a bag of survival items like candles and flashlight and batteries, some food, some first aid stuff. A bandana is always good. Water purification tablets. And then, I mean, you can get fuel from out here. Like all the wood that you see here, I could just knock it down and use it as fuel. Just make sure you don't burn poison ivy. Poison ivy, if it's inhaled, could potentially kill you. So anything else? A compass is vitally important. And if you can, get your hands on a map. There is a gazetteer that I have, which you can see on me. Here's a tick on me. If I can get it to zoom in. Sorry for the blurriness, but yeah, there's a tick on me going around. But yeah, sorry. But yeah, this is a little dog tick. This is the one that carries the Lyme's disease. But as long as you get them off quickly, you'll be fine. Sorry, it's hard to focus. But yeah, you can see that he's crawling all over me. And just, all you gotta do is pluck them off. Not that hard. Well, God bless and take care. These guys are truly not that bad. Take care. God bless.